Fellas, the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season is slowly approaching, and by slowly, I mean very quickly approaching. In fact, just a week from today is going to be the Clash at Bowman Gray, which officially is going to kick off the season. And since I have some thoughts and opinions and predictions about this season, I thought I'd make a video about it. Breathe some new life into this channel after what has been 2 years of nothing. We need something good. And that's actually a perfect segue into my first prediction. Kyle Busch will win again. In fact, I believe he's going to win 3 races this year. Kyle Busch has had nothing short of a disastrous run the past couple seasons, with his first winless seasons in a long time. I want to say ever since he got to JGR. 2024 and 2025 have just been not good to Kyle Busch, and I'm hoping that with the changes to his crew this year, he's finally going to find some race-winning speed and race-winning strategy again. And hopefully his age is not the problem, because if his age is the problem, I think we're done for here. Speaking, however, of winners, I believe that Ty Gibbs and Carson Hocevar will both get their first Cup Series career wins in 2026. They've both shown the fight to win and some pretty decent speed. Now, as for where it's going to come, I believe Ty Gibbs is going to get his first win at Bristol, and Carson Hocevar is going to get his first win at either Nashville or Michigan. I think Michigan would be great for his first career win, mainly because that's his home track. Now, somebody who I think is not going to win a race is actually Connor Zilisch. Now, yes, this is the same Connor Zilisch who absolutely tore up the Xfinity Now O'Reilly series last year, but that was in a different kind of car. The Cup cars are very different from the Xfinity O'Reilly cars, and whenever Zilisch got behind the wheel of a Cup car last year, he didn't have great results. He had okay results, but I don't think we're going to see him win a race in his rookie year like he did last year. But I do think that he is going to have a season highest finishing position of 3rd, and is going to win a pretty good amount of poles, probably on road courses. Speaking of road courses, SVG. He's been getting better on the ovals. In fact, he's been getting so much better that I wouldn't be surprised if SVG wins on an oval in 2026. Probably not going to happen, considering he still has a pretty good ways to go, but I can see it happening. In fact, I want it to happen, just so I can see the reactions online of people doubting his ability and saying that he's only a road course racer, and then he beats their favorite driver. Which, we'll get to that later. Most of the SVG criticism nowadays is because the win and you're in style of the playoffs no longer exists. People seem to not realize that even if win and you're in didn't exist last year, SVG still would have made the chase grid. Granted, he would have been 16th in points and probably not contested for a championship, but he still would have made it. In fact, I want to predict right now what the chase grid is going to look like. I think the chase grid in 2026 is going to look like Chastain, Larson, Keselowski, Busch, Elliott, Hamlin, Blaney, Buescher, Briscoe, Marcus's favorite, Bubba, Sabrina Carpenter's favorite, that Jones boy, Reddick, Bowman, and Preece. All of the RFK racing cars are going to make it into the chase. And if you were paying attention, I don't think Joey Logano is going to make it into the chase. In fact, I predict that Logano is going to kind of have a down year this year. Now, of course, there's the even year Logano rule that we all seem to live by, so I could be completely wrong here and he could actually win the championship this year, but I think it's going to be a bad Logano year. Now, we're going to move on from points and winning predictions, that kind of stuff, to driver predictions. And I was going to start this segment with saying Max Verstappen will drive the 91 car for Trackhouse at the San Diego race. That was, of course, before the YouTube short came out, where he said that he does not have any interest or no plans at all to race in NASCAR, so that's not happening. Someone who will be racing at San Diego, though, is my favorite of all time, Jimmie Johnson, and I think he's going to do pretty well in both the truck race and the Cup race at San Diego. In fact, I believe he's going to finish top 10 in both races. It would be awesome to see Jimmy win either of these, especially because he's getting a little up there in age, which is a little weird to say considering Jimmie Johnson is younger than both of my parents, and I don't think they're old, so I don't think Jimmy's old either, but I mean, 50 is old for a race car driver, but Mark Martin and Harry Gant were doing it in their 50s, so who's to say Jimmy can't? And speaking of trucks, I think Tony Stewart's going to have a really good run at Daytona. I think he's going to finish 5th, and then in the post-race interview, I think he's going to tease future endeavors with NASCAR. Maybe he'll come back and do some other one-off races here and there with Colleague in the Trucks program. Or maybe he'll do something else, which I'll get to in a bit. But there's 2 other drivers, former drivers I should say, who I think are going to be coming back for a one-off race, probably in the trucks, during the summer. I think Clint Bowyer and or Kevin Harvick are going to make at least one part-time National Series start this year. Probably not in Cup. Definitely not in Cup, actually. Probably not in O'Reilly, so I'd say trucks is most likely to be where that's going to happen. In fact, I believe Clint Bowyer actually just in 2024 ran a truck race at IRP? I don't remember exactly where it was, but I remember Clint Bowyer was there. So he's familiar enough with the trucks in his current age to get behind the wheel again, possibly. Summer is when Fox doesn't have to cover NASCAR, so they don't have to worry about that conflicting schedule. So I think that's a pretty good opportunity for them to get behind the wheel. Now, before I get into the Crown Jewel and Championship wins segment, I want to sort of look ahead to 2026's silly season and some changes I think might be coming up there. Nothing crazy, these aren't super out there predictions, but this is more so what I hope will happen in 2026's silly season. First of all, I think Corey Heim is going to announce his move to 2311 in the Cup Series, driving the 35 or the 67 in 2027. I think at this point we can agree that Riley Herbst is more of a money driver than he is a real talent driver. Obviously, to be in the NASCAR Cup Series, you have to have at least a little bit of talent, but you also got to have money. And Riley Herbst has money. So I think, if anything, he's more so just keeping the seat warm for Corey Heim. And then when Heim joins 2311 in 2027, Herbst is maybe just going to go back to O'Reilly. Don't know where he's going to go in O'Reilly, but he'll go somewhere. As well, I think that Dodge is going to announce its re-entry into the NASCAR Cup Series and the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series for 2027, partnering with, of course, Colleague Racing, as they are the sole team running Ram trucks in this year's truck season. And I think Legacy Motor Club is also going to move from Toyota over to Dodge. Petty Enterprises and Dodge were pretty tight partners back in the day, so I think this will be a popular and probably decently plausible thing to happen. Now, for the Crown Jewel race winners and the championship pick. We'll go in order here. I think after his second place close call in 2025, Tyler Reddick is going to win the Daytona 500 this year. I think great things are going to come from the 2311 shop this year, and Tyler Reddick is going to be one of those great things. Even though he didn't win at all in 2025, he showed pretty good speed, and I think we're going to see the 2311 team, especially the number 45 team, back in victory lane a couple times this year. And I think his boss, Denny Hamlin, is going to go on to win the Coca-Cola 600. I think Denny had incredible speed in the Coke 600 last year, alongside Byron and obviously the race winner, Ross Chastain. And I think that this year, he's going to get a win there. On to the Brickyard 400, I predict that Christopher Bell is going to be winning that race. And lastly, I think Kyle Busch is going to win the Southern 500. That's one of the 3 wins that I was talking about earlier in the video. I don't know where his other 2 wins are going to take place, but I have a feeling one of them is going to be at Darlington, and probably at the Southern 500. The championship pick for me. Now, I should preface this by saying it might be cope, it might be wishful thinking, it might just be praying to the heavens after what has happened this past offseason. But I think, and God do I hope, that Denny Hamlin, will win the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series Championship by 11 points over Chase Elliott. Obviously, Denny has had maybe the worst offseason you could possibly imagine for a NASCAR driver. What with barely losing the championship to Kyle Larson, who would have won anyway if this was a chase format, but it wasn't, so it still kind of sucked. And then, of course, the week-and-a-half long court case, which was undoubtedly draining, and the tragic passing of his father, who was his biggest reason to keep going. And I think, and this might be a bit of a hot take, and I hope not insensitive to say, I think even though all of that has happened, I think that Denny now has a weight lifted off of himself. I feel like 2026 is really going to be Denny's year. If not for a championship, then just to go out there and run like hell. He doesn't have anything left to prove. Even if he doesn't win the championship in the last couple years of his career, I think he's still going to go down as one of the best to ever sit behind the wheel of a car. The championship is just icing on the cake. And hopefully, if he does win, they can finally crack open that cigar. Or maybe it's best to just leave it in the case out of respect for Dennis. And that is all of my predictions for the upcoming NASCAR Cup Series season. Thank you so much for sticking around. I know that it's been a hot minute since I uploaded on this channel. Like 2 years hot minute. I don't know what took me so long. I wanted to make more videos, but I guess life got in the way. But also, I just had nothing to talk about for most of that. But I'll come up with ideas. I'll come up with things to talk about, and I really want to make this something that I can do regularly. Obviously, the dream would be make this my full-time career so I can just have fun with something that makes me money. Lord knows I'm not doing that right now. So, hopefully you guys will stick around and watch and support me, and we can bring more people on the bandwagon along the way. So, yeah. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you hopefully in less than 2 years.